Welcome back, everybody, to Niko's comic book hauls and reviews in the late night collectors community. I'm your host, Niko, and today I'll be showing off the books that I hauled throughout the month of July 2022. I'll be showing off the contents of the book and also giving you my thoughts and reviews on the things that I have read and some of the things I'll be looking forward to checking out for the first time. If this is your first time checking out the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you like what you saw here today, or hit me up in the comments if you want to keep the conversation going. Hit the notification bell to be notified of when these monthly videos go out, as well as all the other comic book content that we put out here on the channel. As always, thank you for tuning in. And without further ado, let's get to the book, shall we? All right. So, first up, I think this is the only book that I haven't actually read before that I ended up picking up throughout the month of July 2022. And this is the Amazing Spider Man Omnibus Volume 1. This is the newly released reprint. As you can see now, like the writing on the actual side of the omnibus is smaller, and they've changed the omnibuses to have this like little design here, this picture. I know a lot of people weren't that big of a fan of when Marvel changed up the spines for these omnibuses, but I recently have just upgraded my epics to of the Amazing Spider-Man to the omnibus format because I figured, I'm such a big Spider-Man fan, and this was I did want it in the nicer format after all, after I already started collecting the epics. So I'm going to be doing that with these as well as the Fantastic Four omnibuses. If I can't get them all with the new writing, though, that's okay. But if so far so good for the Spider-Man ones, I just need them to release a Volume 4 reprint now. That's, I think, the only other one that I need in that format. But yeah, so this collects Amazing Spider-Man 1 to 38 and Annual 1 to 2, and material from Amazing Fantasy 15, Strange Tales Annual 2, and the Fantastic Four Annual 1. So yeah, I'm really glad that I upgraded to the omnibuses. I'm glad that they reprinted this. I'm glad that Marvel's doing so many reprints nowadays, and they should keep this stuff in print like evergreen, like it should always be available. Because yeah, this Fantastic Four, like these are staples in their comics from like the 60s. And we'll go through some of the art in this omnibus here. If you've never seen this before, we got lots of Steve Ditko art in this, as he was the artist on Spider-Man along with Stan Lee writing. Some great classic looking art here. Got it on the glossy paper. I know some people aren't a fan of that. I don't mind it. I'm happy to have the Spider-Man in the omnibus format. And I'm glad I upgraded from the epics. Of course, you got some early Fantastic Four stuff here as well in Spider-Man. Doctor Doom. Yeah, great stuff. I think at this point they were there was a Spider-Man annual very recently that actually dealt with this character, the Living Brain. So there you go. Or sorry, not an annual. It was issue 900. It was kind of like a special story that felt like an annual of sorts, but it was a really great issue that just came out that we just talked about on Comic Shop Talk, actually, me and Chris. Issue 900, legacy numbering of Spider-Man. It's like number 6 in the current run. Ed McGuinness on art. They brought back that Living Brain character from that issue. I think 6 or 8. Anyways, so yeah, this is I'm glad they reprinted this, and I'm happy to own these in omnibuses. It was worth the upgrade. All right, and next up, we're just going to get into the books that I ended up reading throughout the month of July 2022, or read previously, and then I picked it up the collected edition. This is Junji Ito's The Luminal Zone, and the newest of one of his, I guess, short story collections. As you can see, as always, you got the interior of the book has got some interesting kind of layout here. Very cool. This wasn't bad. Some, with these short story books, as always, there's some that I liked more than others. But, I do collect all the Junji Ito books that they come out with. And Viz has really been pumping them out over the last few years. And he's, I guess, at the height of his career in terms of popularity as well, in North America, as well as, in Japan, I'm sure. But so he keeps pumping out this stuff too. I think this was done during the pandemic, I believe, when he was in quarantine. I think he wrote a note at the end of the book. That's what a lot of these these short stories were done for. I guess for a periodical in Japan at that time. And I guess he had said he had approached these ones differently, if I'm not mistaken. But, anyways, yeah, there were some ones that were better than others. I think the best one was the Weeping Woman Way. This one right here. I believe that was the one I liked the most. And then the Spirit Flow of Aki Gahara. I think that one's really good too. The other ones are all right, but those are probably my two favorite ones of this. Yeah, that Spirit Flow one's really weird. That's that, and I'm sure I butchered that name, so my apologies, but and probably not the best use of words there, but that's that suicide, I think, forest thing that's in that storyline. So like there's these two people that go there and there's like they find that there's like this there's like a bunch of like dead soul types, like souls that basically burst out of this I don't know, this like hole in the forest that they come across. And this guy ends up like jumping in the wave of like souls, like undead, and ends up finding out you can like ride the wave essentially. But as time goes on, he starts becoming morphing into something unlike himself. So it's really weird. That was probably my favorite story of this, though. So yeah. Yeah, a couple good short stories. If you're a fan of Junji Ito, always worth picking up, and I'm glad to add this to the collection. And then we got Noctera Volume 2 by Scott Snyder, art by Tony Daniel, and I think Dennis Cowan as well was did a art on one of the issues in this. So this collects I think this was issues 7 to 11 and Noctera Special Blacktop Bill. I think the special that Dennis Cowan ended up drawing that one. Yeah, this isn't bad. In terms of like, stuff that Scott Snyder has done, this is somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's great. It's good. I'll still read it in trade. I'm kind of invested somewhat in the story. I think the Blacktop Bill one shot in this is probably the best thing in this trade. I actually also really like him as a character, that being said. So I think this is a pretty good series so far. So I look forward to more. This is volume 2 of the trade. I haven't read this in issues. I've been reading it in trade the whole time, and not bad. Snyder's output lately, as he's kind of gone more over to big creator-owned books again from the working for the big two, primarily DC, has been interesting. So I got to say, he's been putting out some good stuff lately. And next up, we got Injustice, Gods Among Us Year Zero, the complete collection. I believe this was a digital first series, and this is written by Tom Taylor, who's written, in my opinion, the best of the Injustice comic stuff, who, of course, is a much bigger name at DC now and has done a lot of great Elseworld type stories and work for DC, doing a great run on Nightwing right now. So I kind of picked this up for because of him. This isn't collected in the two omnibuses of Injustice stuff that they've put out. If they have been, or if they're going to continue to put out more Injustice stories, I'm not sure. If there will be enough to fill up another omnibus, I guess we'll see. But I just picked up this trade based on the fact that it was new Tom Taylor Injustice material, with the hopes that if they do collect it in an omnibus, along with other Injustice stuff, I would probably be interested to pick up the third volume, because they already have brought out 2 volumes, which I own. The first volume is the better of the material. I'm told. I've only read the first one so far, but in the second one, Tom Taylor, I believe, is off the book, and I think Brian Buccellato and some other people are take over, and I've heard it's not as good. So yeah, but I heard it's not bad. But anyways, this was good because this was about the Justice Society of America, and basically a past tale of the Justice League interacting with them prior to the events of Injustice, and kind of where those characters went, and like the darker kind of arc that they took. But the Joker is in this messing with them, which obviously, if Injustice would lead to kind of, the Joker kind of dealing with Superman and the Justice League as well, despite the fallout of this story. But this was pretty good and enjoyable. I liked it. Got a bunch of different artists on this. CN Tormey was somebody I think that's worked with Declan Shalvey in another book. I think it's a time travel book, Time Before Time, or I think it's called, or Time After Time. It's a good image book I talked about here on the channel before, that I really enjoy. I think that's the artist on that, and yeah, Roge Antonio, Rain Barreto. So that's the art team on this. Not bad. I did enjoy it, and if you like Injustice, definitely pick this up. Or if you like Tom Taylor, I think it was a really well done story with the JSA and JLA. And then we got Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. This collects the whole 8-issue miniseries that Tom King wrote and Bill Evely drew. I think it's Mateus Lopez on colors, then, I guess, which is a name that I'm not as familiar with, but yeah, he was the colorist on this. I really enjoyed this series. I did read this in issues. I'm surprised they didn't go with a hardcover first for this release, just based on Tom King's name. Maybe it's because Supergirl isn't as popular. I'm not sure. I mean, eventually, I'm sure. I guess again, um, given the fact that Tom King's books usually get the deluxe hardcover treatment for a lot of these maxi series type stuff that he does, miniseries, I wouldn't be surprised eventually if one came out. I may just keep the paperback of this. I liked it, and I like Vilqui's art, but I don't know if I'm going to double dip on this one. I don't know if it was enough for me to get the deluxe edition, but we'll see. Beautifully illustrated book, though. I really liked this story. I thought it ended very well. It's I wouldn't say overwritten, but it's definitely a lot of words in it. It's written well, and definitely a different voice, I think, in the writing than Tom King has exhibited in some of his other things. But it's really interesting story. Tom King kind of described it as true grit, like with the younger girl, in the sense that Supergirl's the other character with the younger companion throughout this. So I did quite enjoy it, and I think it's worth checking out. The trade will run you, I think this is, yeah, $19.99 US cover price for the 8-issue series of this paperback. Pretty good. Great deal. All right, then we got Ghost Cage. Now, this is a 3-issue, oversized issue series that was released and co-written by Nick Dragata with Caleb Goldner, who's new to me. I guess it's a friend of Nick Dragata's or somebody he's worked with before, possibly. I'm not familiar with him, but he was credited as the co-writer and the artist on this. I got this for Nick Dragata. I'm a huge Nick Dragata fan, of course, for his work over at Marvel, but mostly probably the last several years or however long he actually ended up working on that book, working on East of West with Jonathan Hickman at Image Comics. And this, Nick Dragata has like a manga-ish style, I would say. He definitely got the speed lines down and kind of artistically somewhat looks like other manga artists I've seen. And I mean, it works even better in this book because this is strictly black and white, this book. I think he works digitally when he does art like this for the most part, but just a really nice looking book, great art. Really love his artwork. So if you like Nick Dragata as I do, definitely worth a pickup just based off that. Even if you're not as into the story, although I think the story was a pretty good story for somebody this could possibly be his first credited work as a writer or co-writer that at least I've checked out, and I did quite enjoy it. I thought it was an interesting sci-fi concept and something I really look forward to revisiting again one day. So yeah, I'm really glad I picked this up. Again, this is like a $16.99, US cover price trade. It's only a 3-issue series, just one and done. This trade paperback. It was just 3 oversized issues for this, but yeah, I'm looking forward to more. I can't wait to see what he's working on next. And then we got Iron Man, Volume 3, Books of Korvac. And this is Books of Korvac 3, Cosmic Iron Man, essentially. Yeah, that's what this arc was called. And yeah, this is the 3rd volume in the current ongoing Iron Man series. This collects issues 12 to 19. Christopher Cantwell writing it, and then you got a bunch of different artists: Angel Unzueta, Cafu, Ibrahim Robertson, Julius Ota, Alan Medina, and Frank De Armata. I think this is how you pronounce his name. I really, really enjoyed this. I thought this was great. If you've been following this book at all, um, Christopher Cantwell, I think, is really writing a really great Iron Man. He just has a good voice for this type of character. Someone who's vain and like obviously super intelligent, but just like just can't get out of his own way, essentially. And I think he just writes these characters really well. People like that, these individuals, like, Dr. Doom, he wrote that series, which was fantastic. Some of the stuff that characters he wrote on Halt and Catch Fire. I think he recently worked on the Paper Girls series, the TV show on Amazon Prime, Brian K. Vaughan's Image book, Paper Girls. I think he was I don't know if he was a writer or producer on that, but I think that it doesn't show as much in that series, I would say, as those other things I mentioned. But yeah, this is just, I think, a really great fit for Christopher Cantwell's writing, at least from what I've read so far of his stuff. And, the artists on this book aren't bad too. I think it fits the book. Iron Man with this kind of ragtag, like CD list kind of group of heroes that have been helping him out in this against him trying to take down Korvac has been really fascinating. And there's like a lot of introspection and kind of like personal type stuff going on in this book, like with him up in his head, him trying to do the right thing, be a good person. And it's just really interesting. And I think by the end of this book, the thing that happened at the ending was unexpected and well done. And there's something to be said about that, because so many comics are very expected what happens. You can kind of really tell the story usually sometimes halfway through what's gonna occur. But this was well done and well presented in the conclusion of the story. So this is a good jumping off point. I wouldn't say jumping on point. I think the next trade is going to be a great jumping on point for readers. But this kind of ended the first three trades of this story basically is one big story so far for this character. And I think it's a really great run. And I'm usually not a huge Iron Man fan, but I gotta say this has been a great run. And yeah, I'm digging it. All right, and next up we got the Last Ronin hardcover. Now this came out from IDW Comics. This collects all 5, again, oversized issues of this series in a nice hardcover format, which is the same size as the IDW collections of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles of the current series. So if you guys were like wanted to make sure of that, it is. I can confirm that because I recently got caught up and have been buying all of the IDW collection Ninja Turtle books and have been reading them. And I'm completely caught up in that format now. And I'll be showing that off the newest volume actually in a minute here. But I did want to point this out, this book for you guys. This was a fantastic book. You don't have to have read the current IDW Ninja Turtles series at all or be caught up like I am. But if you are a fan of this world, I think this is definitely worth checking out. If you are a fan of the Turtles, I think it's worth checking out. So yeah, pick this book up. Honestly, what are you waiting for? This is only this is a great package, great looking hardcover. And again, the cover price of this, which I'm surprised, it could have got away with charging a lot more for this. I feel like $30 US cover price for this hardcover. I mean, I know it's only 5 issues, but they are oversized. And this is a great one and done story. Honestly, it gave me everything a great futuristic look at these characters and story being told. And yeah, I quite enjoyed this. This was great. And if you want to hear like a more in-depth review and conversation on this, just over a little bit over an hour long, me and my buddy Peter, we actually did a video that can be found in our playlist here on the channel. It's the return of a show I used to do, where I used to do reviews on comic book collected editions. It's called Trade Talk. And if you check in the Trade Talk playlist, you'll see a new episode where we do a review on this book, The Last Ronin. So I'll leave it at that. Definitely check that out for a more in-depth review. We go issue by issue and talk about how much we love this book. Really, really great stuff. And And as I mentioned, I did just get caught up on the IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ongoing series as well. And this is the newest volume in the set. Love all the spines. They kind of look like this, like the sword band and like the grip of it. This is volume 14. And this collected Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issues 101 to 112, the 2020 annual, and the Jenica 3-issue miniseries. So yeah, this is a new jumping on point for readers. The previous 13 volumes, it kind of ended with issue 100, at least that era, that tone of the book, that direction that they were going with. I think that was Tom Waltz, I think that who also co-wrote the Last Ronin there was I guess the main writer on it, along with Kevin Eastman doing a lot of the story beats with him. But yeah, this was good. I did enjoy this. It definitely had like a bit of like they're in a pretty dark place, sad spot at the start of this storyline with a fallout of what happened at the end of the last arc. So it's definitely a little bit very emo-ish, I would say, at the start of this story, which I know some people's criticisms of this book has been so far. But that being said, I think if you really give this a chance, there's a lot of interesting things still going on in this book. I really enjoyed the story for the most part so far. The art is great. We got, sorry, the artist and writer of this right now is Sophie Campbell, who's writing and drawing the book. Like it's kind of her take on the characters and the story right now is due to her direction on it. She's writing and doing the art on the main series, as well as having some other artists drop in. And like I said, the Jenica miniseries, which is in this as well, is drawn by somebody else and is really good. And I think there's a lot of great character moment type stuff still going on in here, if not like a more quieter volume, because they're building stuff back up again. I mean, they're in a weird spot right now, all the turtles, after what happened. I'm trying not to spoil what happened at the end of the last story, so that's why I'm purposely trying to be a little bit vague, but very, very interesting stuff. And I really love this world that they've built in the IDW series, the current one, and it's great. And I look forward to these volumes now that I'm all caught up. 14 volumes, though. I know it's a lot, guys, but you can slowly kind of pick these up, and they are all in print, I believe, right now again after being out of print, some of them. So yeah, great time to jump in. And then you got The Boys. This is hardcover omnibus volume 3. I showed off the first two in my last comic book haul and review video for the month of June. And then the third one, I think, came out the first week of July. And I have the whole series now in the omnibus form. The only thing that isn't collected in this, and I don't know if they plan on doing other mini series and maybe collecting it in an oversized hardcover at some point down the line, which I hope they do if the Garth Ennis has plans for more stuff. Given the popularity of the show right now, I'm surprised he hasn't done more stuff in this world, quite frankly, because they did do a miniseries called Dear Becky that was collected in paperback. It wasn't great, though. I did read it, and I don't feel like it's necessary. And it was all right, but it's not collected in this format, so I've gotten rid of the paperback now. I was hoping maybe that they collected it in this, but that's why I believe that they have plans for that story. If hoping probably Garth Ennis has more plans to do other stuff, or maybe they know he does have plans to do other miniseries in this world, and they can maybe collect it in a nice big hardcover like this as well. Boys, if you've never read it and you've been enjoying the TV show, you definitely need to check out the comic. I do think the show may be a little bit better than the comic. Truth being, all truth told, being told here, but I do like both. And hold on here. Let's see. This collects 48 to 72, along with the miniseries, the Boys, Butcher Baker, Candlestick Maker 1 to 6, which is I think a miniseries that was I think that's where this cover is actually from. It's focused on Butcher, that miniseries about his past, I think. So yeah, great stuff. And then we got this OGN that came out through Image Comics called The Dark Room. This is written by Jerry Duggan with a new artist, at least new to me. And I think also she might be a newer artist as well, because Jerry Duggan had said, like, meet your new favorite artist, I think in this illicit or something for this while promoting it. Art by Scott Buon Cristiano. And if I'm saying that wrong, my apologies. Colors by Tamara Bonvillain. Um, this is, I think, a book that not many people are talking about that I just thought was wonderful. Like 5 stars. I really love this book. I thought it was a great story told in like a supernatural, great supernatural story told by Jerry Duggan, probably with some tropes that you've seen done elsewhere. But I think that the voices of the characters are really well done. I thought the artist did a really good job. If they do more in this world, I'm on board, which apparently is the plan. I like that other creators are going straight to this OGN format now as a result of probably, Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips' success over at Image. They've been doing that a lot with a lot of their books lately with this straight to an OGN hardcover type of model instead of putting out issues, and maybe being able to bank on people just picking up the book as opposed to committing to getting monthly issues of a series which would die out otherwise. But yeah, I got to say, this has got to do first off with like a person that's kind of like a John Constantine female like character that's dealing with some demon type stuff and a haunted camera, and that's kind of the basis of the story going in at the start, and it kind of goes from there. She's got a buddy who's basically a skeleton that that rocks like tracksuit, like he used to be like a beatboxer type guy, or sorry, somebody like dances on the corner, like break dancing. Thank you. So yeah, really, really interesting stuff. I really enjoyed this book and I look forward to more. And then we got X Lives of Wolverine, X Deaths of Wolverine, or 10 Lives, 10 Deaths, whatever you want to call it. This is an overpriced hardcover, guys. I'm going to tell you straight up. This is probably the most negative thing I could say about this story, other than the fact that the story was just okay. And yes, I did end up picking it up because I'm a sucker for Wolverine stuff. And I felt this had some important story beats if you were following the Hickman X-Men Krakoa stuff post him leaving. This has big story plots that continued out of Inferno that have to do with Moira, and kind of like where she, where we left off with her previous to where they are now, and with the Axe event, like kind of where she was previous to that is in this book, I would say. And then she's kind of been causing a lot of trouble for the X-Men now that she's a villain essentially at the end of Inferno. And there's some stuff like that in here. One of these stories, I don't know if it was X Lives or X Deaths. I think it was, I want to say X Deaths of Wolverine was the one that I actually really enjoyed. It was basically just like Terminator, I would say. And then the other one was kind of not as great, I would say. So I did enjoy one of these over the other. But again, to have them all in a mini series on the shelf in this nice oversized hardcover, I am happy to have it. I think it is important to the current status quo of things in the X books for some characters, and I do like Wolverine as much as I'm not loving Ben Percy's Wolverine run per se. But this is also written by him and had some art by some good artists on it. I think the artist that's been working on X-Force with him, Ben Percy's also writing X-Force, which I think is excellent. That's probably the best of all the Ben Percy stuff that he did with the X-Men. Joshua Cassera, yeah, that's the artist that works on X-Force with him, so he's great. And then the other artist is Federico Vicentini, and that was for X Deaths of Wolverine. I believe that's the one I like better than I think I like that better than X Lives minus the Cassera art. So yeah, not a bad package, but the price tag on this thing, okay? Like this is a pretty thin hardcover, as you can see here. Not that many pages, maybe a few hundred pages. $75 US. Man, these X-Men books are becoming expensive. It really doesn't matter what the size of the book is, as long as it's an event. They're charging anywhere from $75 to $100 for the oversized hardcover of these X event type books that are going on with the Krakoa stuff right now. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Just be forewarned. Is it worth that? Possibly not. I didn't pay that. So if that, if I got to say, if you're going to be paying top dollar for this book, is it worth it? Not necessarily. At least read it digitally or something. Find out if you really like the story before committing to it. And last but not least, we have this book, Disciples. This is by artist Benjamin Mara. does more so indie comics. And I think this is from these guys are directors, David Burke and Nicholas McCarthy. I think are known for horror films for the most part. And this was kind of like a darker made up story about somebody like kind of like Manson murderish type stuff going on with cults and girls in California and like the lasting effects of these people on the victims. And there's like some vampiric type shit going on in it, rituals type stuff. It's some nasty cult business type thing. So this was okay. I'm a big fan of the artist. I would probably keep this based off of all the great work he did in this. I don't think the visuals were the issue or the storytelling necessarily, but the actual script itself, I think, for this book, maybe it's because it's people that are more more known for films as opposed to comics, but the story was just okay to me in this one. I definitely think Benjamin Mara has done better on the stuff that he works on himself primarily. Like he mostly writes and draws his own stuff. So this collaboration's probably not, I would say, a match made in heaven, although it was decent enough. I think if you are a fan of his, it's worth checking out. And you can also get, like I said, get some enjoyment out of the art for the most part. This sounds like something up your alley, though. I think it's worth checking out. It's just, it's not my favorite thing I think I've read, out of this pile here today, but not bad. And yeah, that's about it. That'll be it for the haul for July 2022. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for today. Thank you for tuning in, as always, to these videos. If you like what you saw here today, make sure you subscribe. Check out some of the other shows that we do here on the network. We do weekly comic book shows called Comic Shop Talk that I do with my buddy Chris. That's where we review and talk about the new single issue uh, comic releases that come out week to week. This is more of like the collected edition comic book review show here, but we bring those out every week. They usually come out on Saturdays. Comic Shop Talk, we have a playlist of all those episodes. So if you want more comic content, definitely go and check those out. We also have a show that just returned very recently that I talked about earlier in the video called Trade Talk, which is like the more in-depth, like deep dive conversation about a review of a trade paperback or hardcover or something that I've read recently. And, sometimes we have on guests. I just had on my buddy Peter, and we talked about the Last Ronin Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles book that came out. And that was a lot of fun. So check that out. And if you're into collecting other things, this is the Late Night Collectors community. So we do have videos that pertain to like collectible card games. We open up packs of cards, hockey cards, Pokemon cards, Dragon Ball cards, all kinds of things. There's also a couple of videos on here that I did a long time ago, and I hope to do more, hopefully, in the future, of me opening up some toys that I Spawn figure, as well as some Dragon Ball figures here on the channel. So all kinds of things here to look forward to on the network. Definitely check it out on the Late Night Collectors community. Thank you for tuning in, guys. And, hit me up in the comments if you have any comments on any of these books, anything you want to say. Let's keep the conversation going. And thanks for tuning in. See you later.